can't. I'm sorry.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mega Momentum Mornings with mega agents from around the world. Today we have Ramon Casaus from, and I probably said that wrong. I'm so sorry. From Albuquerque. How you doing, man?
I'm good. No, that was good, man. That was a good attempt.
Was that a good attempt? That was all right. Oh.
What's happening, guys?
What's happening? What's happening? Everybody got their coffee?
In a coffee shop too, so it's a little bit noisy today. I wasn't happen actually to get in front of my computer. I'm traveling a little bit, kind of around town, doing some different things with the business. So, apologize ahead for everybody, but I'm gonna try to keep the mute button on if the coffee shop goes wild.
The wildness at the coffee shop.
The wildness of team building globally. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. What were you saying? You're grabbing a trailer and you got this big truck. Now you're gonna wrap both those suckers and travel across the country and expand Homes+City everywhere that you go.
Yeah, going full nomad, man. I think growing this team nationally, and especially in Mexico, different parts. Why not? I mean, opportunity that we have to grow this kind of. Let's roll around the country and see what happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. Say good morning in the comments below. Let's hear your questions. If you guys have any questions, comments, or challenges, things that you guys want us to talk about, just pop it into the comments below, and we'll have a chat about it. So. Ramon, I was looking at your history. Like you had a couple of articles written up and things like that, and it sounds to me like you followed a very similar journey, or I followed a similar journey to you. And you built out a team at a brokerage, then you went independent, built out an independent brand, and the main differentiator that you really shout out about, and that you implement in your business is culture. I think it's a really important thing for us to talk about, because not just from the perspective of a business builder or somebody that's an entrepreneurial realtor that wants to build out a team, obviously that's incredibly important, but for those realtors out there that are in the middle of a brokerage, or they're on a team right now, or they're associated with a brand of one kind or another, and they're struggling. I personally believe that culture and your environment is like 90% of your success story. So, I thought that would be a good thing to talk about this morning.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And yeah, you brushed on it before we jumped on, but you can't fake it. You can't buy it. You can't just create it one day, right? It's the most it's like the most authentic thing you can feel is somebody else's energy and the support and whatever, emotions that someone's culture and who they are as people brings out in you. It's either real or it's not. And that's what I love about culture, is that it's once you have it, that someone's taken time to build it. And, the value is always in the time, right?
Oh, it is. Well, that's the only thing that we truly do have, right? It's time, and it's our most valuable commodity. That if we're willing to bless somebody else with our time, and vice versa, and appreciate somebody else's time that they've given us. That's the most important thing, the most valuable thing that you can do. It's like lead generation, right, and lead conversion in real estate. If you're spending time putting a thoughtful gift and a card together, and you pop by and you say hi to somebody, and you build a relationship, past client, something like that, it's so much more powerful than some random email, right? And it's all about the time that you're spending with people.
Well, I was telling our team about this the other day. I was like, all right, for what was the last holiday? St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
How many lender emails did you get on St. Patrick's Day, right? And, I got at least, I'm going to ballpark it around 30 to 40, somewhere in there. And like maybe 10 of them are all from the same company. And so it literally says the exact same thing, and they go out at the exact same time. And I was saying that, like, that doesn't make me feel very valued. And then, of course, my name's spelled wrong in a few of them too. It doesn't make me feel very valued. And I have to ask our team, I'm like, guys, so if you are addressing your clients this way, I want you just to flip places with them, right? How many generic emails do you respond to? I mean, so how could you possibly expect somebody to respond to you? Like, you're just that much different that, oh gosh, because it's your email, they're going to respond or interact or get value from it? No, they're going to swipe, archive, and delete. It's that simple.
And I've seen, Ramon, I'll tell you, man, I've preached that, and when even these canned response emails and different things like that seem so just genuine to a certain extent. That's where, man, building that, you said something earlier, you can't fake it. You know, and it's like, if you can continue trying to fake it, man, I talk about this using social media too, man. Like, the only way you can be successful with social media, if it's really you put your face on there, interacting with your people. The moment these real estate agents and these companies hire a third party to handle their social media, I get it for the masses if you're going crazy big that you can't even handle it. But it's true. I did a podcast in DC. I flew out to DC like last year, and I talked about like a networking event, man. Like, could imagine if you went to a networking event, and never talked to anyone in the room. And just imagine if you started doing this, and it's kind of funny the way we talked when it flew out. Like, if you went around the room and just started tapping on people in the room and walking away, and then these companies hire these third-party companies to come in and go to the networking event for them. Like, they invite Ramon to the event, and then you don't show up. It's Jill from another party that's supposed to be networking for you, and then it kind of all encompasses that. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's so genuine. And it just nails it.
I like to give a funny analogy, especially with, you brought up social media, so I have to pick on real estate agents for a sec. You have to. Well, like, number one, people buy people, right? We know this. It's a know, like, and trust factor. Oh, hey, by the way, I also sell real estate, right? And I see people do, I call it transactional marketing, or just the whole, the brag marketing. Hey, sold, check out my lifestyle. I'm such an awesome real estate agent, like blah, blah, blah. Pending, closed, open house. It's like, okay, that stuff doesn't work. But imagine if you go to the gym, right? Anyone who's a consistent gym goer, let's just say a gentleman by the name of Ken. Ken is always at the gym at the same time you're at the gym. And Ken sells life insurance, right? Ken, every time that you talk to Ken, you end up close on the same machines. You see him in the locker room. You guys are working up to the door of the gym at the same time. Every time you see him, Ken's like, "Hey man, so about that life insurance policy we've been talking about," or, "Hey man, I think it'd be really good if I was able to talk to your mom and your dad, or your brother, your sister, get the whole family together about getting this whole life insurance thing squared away. Hey man, I would hate for you to fall down the stairs when you leave the gym, but if you did, I really think we should talk before you do." Like, if Ken constantly is talking to you about life insurance every time that you see him in the gym, at some point you're going to start avoiding Ken. You're going to start saying, "Oh, Ken, I'm going to go this way while he's walking that way." You're not going to want to talk to Ken.
That's right.
Ken's annoying. Ken doesn't care about you. He just cares about selling his next life insurance policy. And I'm like, so if you wouldn't do that about real estate at your gym, maybe you do, hopefully you don't, but you wouldn't do that about real estate in your gym. Why do you do that on social media? It's the same exact thing.
It's so true, man. So true. My friends used to tell me back when they were hard, my friends would be like, "No," before I'd walk up to them, be like, "Anthony, I don't know anybody buying or selling a home." They would tell me that. Right?
Yeah, hands up. Whoa. I swear I don't know anybody.
That's a really good analogy. It's really interesting. Like, in the space of 8 minutes, we talked about culture, and it's really, and then we also talked about consumer processes and making people feel great and all these things, and then communication, and it all comes down to the same thing, the same base foundational element of making people feel good and not pushing them away from you, right? And it's really interesting. It's the most successful people that I meet are the people that focus on the feelings that people have when they walk away. Like, we were doing the podcast the other day, and the Raving Fans Club, that's building a Raving Fans Club around your business, around the consumer experience, like that kind of thing is that's what has made most of the six people that I've talked to very successful.
There's a saying I like to, it's a more of a, I guess, concept called lifetime value, right? And it's the whole concept of, you don't need the most clients, you just need the most loyal clients. And to put that in an easy, I'm a very pragmatic person. Like, yes, I like all the feel good. When it comes down to it, I'm like, either this makes sense on paper or it doesn't. So if you take let's say a 20-year career, right? Okay, any career, lifetime of your career, lifetime value, 20 years. Mm-hmm. So you start with that first person, that first client. On average, we know on every 5 to 7 years, someone's going to buy or sell a house, right? So let's just say that for my one client, I'm going to help them 3 times in the course of 20 years. If you're able to build a real relationship with somebody, connect with them, get to know them on a deeper level outside of I just helped them buy and sell a house, you should be able at minimum to procure 2 referrals per year from that person. Minimum.
Yeah.
2. Okay. So let's take that out now in a 20-year span. That's 40 referrals plus 3 sales that you did for that person. On an average sales price of $500,000 at a 3% commission, you're talking about $640,000 per client. Now, I'm not saying that person is worth $640,000. What I'm saying is that you should treat them as if they already gave it to you. That's how you practice lifetime value. I'm sure, Dustin, if I handed you 640 G's, we'd be pretty good friends, man.
Yeah.
We get each other real well, right? Huh?
We get along all right. We get along.
But you see, we have, like, especially with social media and this whole internet leads and just a lot of the chaos in the business, we have these blinders on that we only focus on people who have a sticker on their forehead that says, I want to buy or I want to sell. I'm like, well, yeah, definitely help those people. But what about everybody else you're missing because you're too attached to this, or your head's just buried, only looking for people who show you interest to buy or sell at home in the immediate future? Like, imagine if you treated every single person you came into contact with today like they handed you 640 G's. I bet you your business would explode.
It would absolutely explode. And in a seller's market, that's where all the money's coming from right now. That's where all the business is coming from, is the relationship marketing. Like, we've talked about this a few times, and it's worth repeating, because there's agents that are still struggling. They're still sitting on their computer looking for a magic bean to save their freaking business, as opposed to building relationships with the existing clients that they have. Like what you just said, the lifetime value of a consumer. And then on top of that, the cost of customer acquisition. Those two things together, like, it's a magical thing when you take a look at it and when you put it down on paper and say, okay, this potential value is sitting there within this relationship, right? And I don't have to go and acquire all those 42 other people, right, over a space of years, branding, marketing, all that kind of stuff. All you have to do is build a decent relationship with the person. You know,
and referral business, business, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
not only in this industry, but every industry in life.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what people are doing, even with their relationship. Look, relationship quality is diluted right now because of social media. And I'll tell you guys, I've seen it. I mean, I've been in business for a long time. I've seen when I first got into business, we didn't have websites. People weren't using Facebook. I remember when I first got into real estate, guys, I had a BlackBerry, and people in the office were looking at me like I was crazy. You know, but I'll tell you, that relationship is so diluted now. And that's the thing, as leaders in this business and in real estate, if anybody's watching this, guys, I'm going to tell you, listen to what Ramon just said. You have to maintain relationships. And if you don't, look, even in life, look, I mean, I'm pretty, my parents live out of town and I don't visit them in much, but I FaceTime them, I text them, and it's like, that's not a relationship. It's so true, man. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's getting diluted. And as leaders in this industry, if we don't recognize that soon, you know, this transactional, business is going to be crazy. It's going to run most real estate agents out of business.
Well, it's self-filtering process, to be honest with you. Like, you can see it right now. We all coach, we all train, right? Like, we're all helping people build businesses in real estate, and we can see it. We can see the people that are transactional and they struggle. The people that are transactional, and it costs them a lot of money to run their business, and they spend a lot more time than needed in actually running their business. And just to be able to make as much money as they did last year, and so on and so forth, they have to put more in and more in and more in. And and now they're living, real estate, the lifestyle, as opposed to real estate, the career that gives you a lifestyle, right? It's a very different thing.
I mean, Ramon, how much fun of your business is when you're catering to these past clients and you're doing these events. I mean, you're just always hanging out with somebody, having fun, versus like working with this random stranger who doesn't know you.
The other thing too is that there's this, in my opinion, there's this pressure too on a lot of agents, especially the ones that want to grow, and there's this pressure on scale, expansion. Like you look at guys so far ahead of you and you're wondering like, okay, I got to start doing what they do. But number one is they're just playing on a different level, and they didn't skip steps. If they're running a real business, they didn't skip steps. And we have to look at, like, yeah, while I do want to be in Arizona, and I want to be in Mexico, I want to be in Texas, and I want to be in these different places, there's a hyper local aspect to real estate that you have to go deep before you can go wide. And that's something that I've learned, I wouldn't say the hard way, but I definitely was in that mode on, I went out and recruited. I think, I got some agents in India and a couple other places, but man, I almost killed myself doing it. I was up all night. I was, and I'm like, what am I doing? I could, if I put the same amount of impact, like locally, I could make 10 times the ROI, 10 times the impact in my community. But I think that's something that I've learned is it's better to go deep than it is to go wide. There's always room to go wide, but going deep is what you'll see for the real estate agent who wants to expand. Like that's your first step at expansion, going deeper in your market than you already are.
It's not just deeper in your market, but it's deeper in your culture at the same time. Like I've got the privilege of relaunching. Where Anthony and I are just merging together, and we're launching out Homes and Beach as a real estate, as an international real estate brand. And like I built a very, very successful real estate company, sold it, rebuilt my team last year, and now I'm merging that team into this expansion model. And the most interesting thing is that we are talking about going deep in your community, but going deep in your culture at the same time, being very, very, very laser focused on who is your avatar, who is your dream customer, who is the person that speaks your language, who would you hang out with? You know what I mean? Even if you weren't working together, like that kind of person. It's really interesting. It's like I've built companies without building culture with intention, and I've developed culture over a period of time. And I've also had the privilege of starting something from the beginning with an intentional culture. And I'll tell you, it's so much easier and so much fun to build something with a foundation of an intentional culture right from the very beginning, focused on depth, as opposed to spreading yourself too thin. You know what I mean?
Well, you said it perfectly, spreading yourself too thin, because culture is the way you help create a decentralized command. Instead of a funnel, everything back to you, which I see a lot of team leaders, especially where they create this monstrosity. Don't get me wrong, it's a team and it's doing business, but man, they're killing themselves doing it because every last detail runs back to them. It's a complete centralized command. And like culture is one of the easiest ways to break that up and create leaders within the organization.
Absolutely. Exactly why Dustin and I are in business. I started the Homes+City team, the Homes and Beach team by myself. And Ramon, I ran myself in the ground, dude. I was in 16 different cities trying to balance everything out by myself, being the only leader on the team. And you nailed it, dude. You nailed it. What you said something just now, computer related term, which I totally, I can't. Oh, man. You said something really good after the rest of recording now to see what you said. But I mean, you nailed it on that, man. Nailed it. No, so true.
It's really cool that you like. This is one of the reasons why I do a promotion structure in my team environments. Be able to create a culture, an intentional culture, and then give them rewards, responsibilities. Responsibilities is another really great way to be able to build culture and build leadership inside your team. One little tiny step at a time. As people progress, they want more. They can do more. They want to contribute more, and that all just lends itself to a great culture. And you're right, like. Culture is the only way that I've found, besides hiring staff and having expenses like go through the roof, right? And also to replace yourself, right? So eventually, if you're running an intentional culture and you're building a business with, on the premise of building leaders around you so that you can scale eventually, because you do have to go deep with your culture and your leadership first before you can scale wide. But once you do that, eventually the whole team, the whole organization doesn't actually need you. It can run on its own.
Sure.
Everything doesn't have to go through you, right? You're a thought leader. You focus the energy in the right direction. You have vision. You set the missions and things like that. But you don't
build it on
the day to day.
I mean, MREA 7 levels. If you did 7-level team, and if it's the structure we're in now, guys, really has quadrupled that effort that we can grow into. But like Ramon said, too big, too fast, or too wide, too fast. Could be a killer. Not for business, but also for your mindset. I mean, it could literally squash you.
Yeah. Here's what else I realized too is that, like, especially as a team leader in the real estate industry, for a little while now, it's been a race to the bottom, right? Who can be the most competitive? And people always, I see this, I get asked this question all the time, like, what do you think my value proposition is? Like, how do you think what value do you think I bring to the agent where they want to be on my team? They're going to pay, like, they're paying a split, they're paying some type of fee to be with your company. And what is that? What is it? And so I said, look, before you even start thinking about like the actual financial model, there's something called the 6 basic human needs. And in my opinion, if you can find an aspect of your business to really hone in on each one of these, and just for a few of them, certainty, variety, significance, connection, growth, contribution, if you can find ways to structure your team and hit those points for your people, those are the things they need that are outside of money, right? So now the financial model, yes, has to make some odd sense, right? At the end of the day. But if you can structure your business, like, you'd be surprised how much people get from contributing back to like, you'd be surprised if you surveyed your people and say, hey, who wants to take on this new, like, how many of them will do it completely for free and they want to invest more in the business because that's a human need, is feeling like they're a contributor, right? Yeah. And then once that person's a contributor, you're now recognized as somebody of value. You're significant. So all these different things play into each other, but I see it all the time. They try to make it too cut and dry. I'm like, well, the split and I'm providing leads. I'm like, okay, back that up completely. Let's start with from a foundational level, right? Yeah. If you can accomplish the 6 basic human needs in your business, I promise you it'll be successful.
Oh God, okay. So let's talk about that for a second, because you're so right. Hit the nail on the head. So all you have to do is take a look, follow Bob the agent. Bob the agent joins your team. All right. So Bob the agent, he gets leads, right? He gets support, he gets motivation. You help him out with a few deals, and Bob starts making some money. So Bob's like, oh, this is cool. I'm a decent agent now. All right, so cool. Bob starts making decent money, and then the leads are no longer valuable. The leads that he needed, and the reason why he joined the team, are no longer needed anymore. They're no longer valuable because he's got business coming in, right? The mentorship, the motivation, the help on the transactional help, that kind of stuff, it deteriorates in value as an agent progresses in skill. So as you're moving through like Bob's life, as that lifetime value of Bob on your team, it's a short ass life because he's gone. He'll be gone off your team very, very quickly if the only thing that you're focusing on is the tangibles that they need to join your team, right? You need to look at the intangibles. You need to look at the set of values that they get, or the set of feelings, the set of their contribution, like all the basic human needs. If you focus on that, they'll stay with you for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, 100%. And there's another saying with so you have a bunch of team people and you're providing things for them, right? Let's just say your culture's on point. I always like to say the value is in the inefficiencies. So also knowing what that person wants, desires, and what they want to accomplish, that is a really important part of leadership. Now, if you have 1,000 people in your team, it's going to be tough. This is where decentralized command comes in, right? But it's important that you also are able to cast a vision where they can see what they want, need, and desire underneath the umbrella of your vision. If they can't see that, that's the easiest way for them to go, same thing that I did, left my first brokerage. You know what? This guy ain't going to take me any further than I could take myself. That's for damn sure. I'm out. It was that simple. It was, I appreciate you, thank you for all the answering my phone calls, but I need more than that. So that's another thing, is that you can have all those, but you still have to be, leadership's an inside out approach, and you have to see that vision where other people can see what they want with you.
That's exactly right. You're the vehicle. If you can paint the picture that you are a vehicle and all they got to do is hop in and go for a ride, right? That's exactly 100%. That's casting the right kind of vision. And if you can't even describe what your vehicle looks like, feels like, or drives like, then you are not expressing your vision, or you just don't have one, right? And if they can't see themselves growing within, because most people are actually not entrepreneurs. Most people would rather tap into an established infrastructure. They would rather tap into something. They don't want to be leading the charge. They don't want to be at the very front of the point of the spear, right? They don't want to be out front and visible. There's some of us crazy fuckers that are like that, and that's all well and good for us, right? But that's one of the reasons why people tap into infrastructures like what we've all built and teams and things like that, because it's easier. They have a different set of priorities as well. They don't have the same kind of priorities and the same kind of, vision. But they do need to be able to see themselves grow into their highest potential within your infrastructure. And so you need to be able to paint that vision of saying, okay, this is what we do for you. This is the space, this is the environment that we can help you grow in. And all you have to do is kind of tap in, provide energy, contribute, and grow along with us.
Ramon, a question on you of that, because I just had a comment from a message from one of my agents this morning where she said, trying to be a team leader, this is tough. I'm almost losing like my focus and my energy. I mean, where's that fine line, you think, man? Because like you said, there's this opportunity where we can go global, and then you got the people who are struggling. I mean, what do you think is the balance, man? Because you can paint this crazy big, I'm going to grow this worldwide organization picture, which will get those people motivated to come in. But then if it doesn't set me, what's your thoughts on that?
So you're saying like casting the big vision, getting people on board, and then being like, oh, now I got to fulfill this.
Yeah, if you casting it too big, and then like you mentioned earlier about casting it too big, but then also we say in the same breath, we have to cast a big vision for people to follow. Where do you think the balance is?
I mean, I do believe if you're not casting a vision that scares you, it probably isn't big enough. But in my eyes, you have to be real with yourself too. And this is a game of prioritize and execute. That's it. That's all you can do every single day is prioritize and execute. I always tell our team, you don't have to hit a grand slam today. I just need you to get on base. But you need to get on base every single day. Every day we're getting on base. We don't have, we're going to hit a home run here and there, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about who gets on base more. So like I see what you're saying, and I think that your vision should be whatever your vision is. I wouldn't say, oh, because Anthony's and Dustin's is global, I have to be global. If that's not what you want to do, then don't say that. Because not everybody wants to be a global, like they don't want to be a part of an international team. You can't be everything for everybody, right? So and I think once you're honest about what your vision is, like I have agents that we were just talking to that end up going with a local new brand here in our market, and they don't want the expansion across the US like I do. And internationally. That's a fact. That vision wasn't what they wanted. And that's okay, because I'd rather not get into business with someone who doesn't want that same ecosystem built out.
Man, you made me think of something, the movie Moneyball just now. Anybody, have y'all seen that movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt? Man, what you said about you don't have to hit a grand slam, you don't have to hit a home run, you have to get on base. I mean, that's what that movie's based on, the law of averages in baseball, and ultimately took them to a championship. Good shit. The one thing about the culture setting and you get into core values, get into understanding why your organization exists. That's another word for mission statement, right? Like getting into all those things. But as a leader, though, this is the ultimate test of accountability, because when you talk, you got to walk, right? And if you're not walking, people find out real quick. And the moment that those two things don't match up, the talk and the walk, it's over. People initially will write it off, and it's very hard to earn that trust back once somebody watches you say something and do something differently. So if you want that type of accountability in your life, it's the ultimate accountability. I wake up not feeling like getting up in the morning sometimes, and I picture like an interrogation room where you can see in, but they can't see out. Like I envision my team like looking down at me every morning, dude.
Every morning, I'm like, nah, man. Like if they were watching me right now, I'm getting up. I say, I'm up. I got this. I'm doing this.
Right? They're all watching. You'd be dancing. You'd be like, oh,
I used to wake up the Survivor the song Survivor, just to kind of like get me motivated. But it is as a leader, man. And again, like I had a message from one of my leaders, man. She's growing a big, crazy team in like Florida and Louisiana, and people don't see that. Especially sometimes the team doesn't see that, where we don't want to get out of bed. We don't want to be that bright shining star every freaking moment. But you mentioned earlier, man, about creating something to where people are all bought in, and it's so much easier. That's an epic statement. If you get those leaders to lead, also good stuff. Also, though, to talk about the bright shiny object or bright shining star, you create something that's bigger than you.
It's not like my organization is not even about me anymore. If I died tomorrow, it lives on. It keeps going. There's something that's not attached. It's not Ramon's real estate company. It's not what it is. So I think also going into it with that mindset that this is going to be bigger than me and not making it all about you. That's something that is my first CPA when I was back in the day. If you didn't even know what LLC was, it was like, so how does this, so if I name it this, is that like, that's what my business is called? And he told me, he said something really wise. He said, man, you're a pretty ambitious 21-year-old. Why don't you think about something that's a brand that's not all about you? He's like, do something a little bit different. He's like, you're not saying anything's wrong with this, but I have a lot of agents that the brands, everything they do is them. He's like, I think you could create something where people could get behind a brand that is unrelated to you. Yeah, you're the one who founded it, who brought it and built it. And I said, yeah, I like that. That's a good train of thought. And I did it. And that was the best advice that guy ever gave me. And I'm really thankful for it. But I think that's also an easy way to, I wouldn't say to take the pressure off of you, but to where the decisions you make, like I just work at my company. Yeah, I might have founded the idea originally, but I work there. So I hold that same level of responsibility with my other leaders to produce, because this is a living, breathing thing now. It's not just about me.
I think that you don't know. I know we've been a group, and that's how we kind of know each other. But that's what we're building. I mean, we came in, we built Homes+City, the brand that people can get behind. That is not related to Dustin and I, and that's exactly it. I took a page from you look at like Barbara Corker did in New York, and even though it was Corker Group, but she turned it into a brand and ultimately sold this brand for like $600 million, even though it was her name, but it became a national. You look at Corker now, it's crazy, but man, good stuff. That's exactly it. And that's what we're building. That's what you're building. And so if anybody, in the chat right now has any questions about this, you got a guy right here that's building an empire, organizational, he said all stretching to India. What's your questions for him? If you have anything, we'll continue on.
Yeah, pop your questions in the comments below. We'll pop them up and we'll chat about it. You're talking about the main differentiator, I think, between an employee mentality and an entrepreneur. And like a lot of agents out there, they're like, oh yeah, no, I run my own business. I'm a real estate agent. It's like, no, you're trading time for dollars, dude. Like, you're not running a business, right? There's no leverage there. If you don't go to work, you're not getting paid. You go on vacation, you're spending money, not going to work and not getting paid, right? So it's not a real business. And the differentiator is really thinking a lot more long-term, less transactional, less right now, feed my family, pay the mortgage and all that kind of stuff, more, legacy type of thinking. As far as an entrepreneur thinks a little bit more longer term, larger scope, other people can tap into this as a culture, as a vehicle. They can tap into this as a means to be able to grow their own lifestyle, their own goals, hit their goals, and build out their dreams. using the same structure that we're all working within together. I think that's one of the main differences between the thought processes between somebody that is a employee mentality. I'm just going to sling a bunch of houses, and that's wonderful. Do that. If that makes you happy, do that. God knows we need lots and lots of really good realtors out there that like to provide amazing customer service experiences for people. But on the other side of the fence, if you're an entrepreneur, if you want to build and grow, if you want something bigger than what you can do yourself, right? Then you've got to start thinking leverage, think more generational. Like I did a road trip to Merida. Merida is a little colonial town in Mexico, just about 3 hours away from Tulum and Cancun area, which is where I'm living right now. And we go into this back country, and there's this church from the 1500s, and it's still there, and they're still using it, and it's beautiful. And it beat the shit, but it's absolutely beautiful. These people did not think, okay, I'm going to build a church so it's going to be there for 30, 40 years. They built it out of stone. They built it to last. They built it so that their generation after generation after generation can live there and use it and work there and enjoy it. I think that entrepreneurs that are thinking multi-generational, they have the right kind of perspective, because that kind of culture, that kind of impact that you can make as an entrepreneur it's incredibly powerful when you come from the right perspective.
Yeah, the vehicle, I think, is the most important part in teaching that. For example, And I also think, I was just talking about this the other day. So I work with a lot of younger agents. I'm 27, so I work with a lot of, I just attract the younger crowd. So, but what I tell people all the time is that there's this pressure, and this is not just an age thing, it's just an entrepreneur age, right? In your entrepreneur journey, wherever you're at. There's this pressure to be this self-made, self-built, like lone wolf style psychopath that doesn't sleep and gets up early, and I don't have friends, and I can't do relationships, and I don't go on vacations. Like there, and it feels, at some point it feels cool to talk like that because you're like, yeah, I'm doing something different. But at some point, we all know that's just a load of shit. So, but the point I was making is that there's this pressure to do that, but like you can get so much further. And someone just said this: leverage is huge. With leverage and leverage through people. I'll give you an example. 2016, we were 2017. I started our first real estate team. I hired a transaction manager my first calendar year in real estate. I hired a full-time salary paid transaction manager. Changed my life forever. That one hire literally threw our business and doubled it the next year because of that one person. So for that, $50,000 investment, we did another $500,000 in sales, right? I mean, that was leverage through somebody else because I was willing to make that hire. But now fast forward, when I was selling real estate, I said, man, this is great. But I noticed if I take my foot off the gas, the money stops coming in. That's kind of scary. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start a business. I'm going to create a brokerage. So, but leading up to that point, real estate was my vehicle to get the funds and resources I needed to be able to make that investment. So I went from a very, very large sum of money the year before to a very, very small one because I started a business. But now, fast forward 3 years, we just put my business partner as CEO of our real estate organization, and I stepped out. So I finally made it to the point where now 5 years in the business where I am no longer not associated, but I don't work day to day in our real estate organization here. And I have the freedom to go on vacation. I just made that move 2 weeks ago.
That's awesome. You made it through no man's land.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I'm like, yeah, well, what do I do? So, but the point I was making is that that journey is what you go back and share with the people. Like, look, I wanted freedom in my life. I got it in a certain way, but real estate was my vehicle. Let me show you how I did it. Absolutely. And when you have those type of like tangible results that you can share with other people, that you should be doing that at every opportunity you get, because a lot of people never reach that point. And I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying that that's a very important part of finding those entrepreneurs who want that. And it should be you should want to help them, and you should want to show them exactly how you did it. And that's the power of, I think we can, another subject for another time, but power of an organization we work with.
I'll tell you, leverage goes both ways, guys. And I think that's where people get sometimes maybe it wrong. We think of leverage. I mean, that was my business too, man. The moment I hired that badass executive assistant, I mean, paid well, business doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Second assistant, same thing. But I'll tell you, it's who you're getting business with too. Like you mentioned, if someone's building, like Ramon, you have a recognizable brand you've built, and people partner with you. Sometimes people don't look at you as leverage for them, and so leverage goes top and bottom, and I think that's a hugely important part for people to recognize, because you said the lone wolf. I hear it all the time. No, Anthony, I don't want to do this. I want to build my own brand. I'm going to do my own thing. That's great. I mean, do it. Go for it. But I'll tell you, man, people, you never succeed alone. And if you have people who are true visionaries, I mean, look, we're with a company that we could have went and reinvented this wheel and did it. But I mean, you look at like Glenn, true visionary, changed it. We decided he's our leverage up, and then our upline people that we went and got in business with leverage up.
I'll tell you a little bit of a story. I actually tried to rip off and duplicate exactly this model, or not exactly, but very close to it. And then I decided to sell and then join, simply because it is very, very difficult. And I'm good at what I do. I'm a good operator, and I'm good at building systems and teams and things like that. But it was, for those of you who are lone wolves that want to feel that sense of pride, building something on your own, none of us did. Nobody builds a success story on their own. There's no success story that if you read about anything, if you hear about anything, you watch a podcast, anything like that, nobody did that inside of a bubble, ever. That never happens inside of a vacuum. So what Anthony was saying and what Ramon was saying, like, couple those two things together, right? So, you've got leverage as far as a leader, as a business builder. You leverage other people's time, you bring them into the fold, into your vehicle, into your culture, and together you achieve more. But on the other side of the fence, when you're looking at a team, when you're looking at a business and say, okay, I'm here right now and I want to get to here. Well, you need to apply leverage to your business. And how do you do that? By tapping into the people that have been there and done that want to share, that care about your success, that have a financial and emotional vested interest in who you are and your success story, right? Like, let's talk about Michael Moore's question here. He says, leverage is huge. How is leverage possible if someone is part of a team who also wants to replace themselves? Well, let me tell you really, really quickly, not every single team and team environment is conducive for you to be able to continue to hit your goals where you're at right now and what your goals happen to be, right? So if you're a part of a team right now that doesn't have a mechanism to allow you to grow your own opportunity inside that team structure, you might need to look at a different vehicle, right? And your team might have that, right? But if you're asking that question, it's unlikely that you're in an environment right now that allows you to grow within a team and stay on the team. And that's actually one of the reasons why Anthony and I created, the Homes+City team atmosphere with a promotion structure. It's a team of teams atmosphere. So we not only do we encourage you, or we want you to grow, we encourage you, we help you. We want to get you to the point where you actually have your own team within the team brand, within the overall team brand, right? So we built that for people like you, Michael. Right? But not every team is like that. Like we've I've met so many agents out there that are part of teams right now that they have that dictator, at the top. They've got that micromanager that all the business, everything flows through that person. They have, a macro and micro control over everybody's existence. That's not conducive for an entrepreneur to grow.
I don't want to cut you off, and you know what? I talk to those people all the time, and you know what it comes down to?
What's that?
They don't feel appreciated.
Right.
I mean, so it's not about people. They mistake it all the time. Oh, it's the splits. They're not getting enough leads. It's not any of that, man. It's that they truly don't feel that they're appreciated for what they do. They don't feel like they get recognition. They're not valuable. They're not an asset because they don't get treated that way. Remember, people only remember one thing, and that's how you make them feel. That's it. They don't remember stats. They don't remember your, what kind of car you drive. They just remember how you make them feel, and that's it.
That's true.
And to some extent, your brand is the way you make people feel.
To some extent, I think that. I think that to a very, very large extent, your brand is how you make people.
And we're fortunate, guys, to where we are. And again, like, we don't talk about EXP Realty too much, but there's certain elements that we like to bring up. I mean, if you're in a team in anyone's organization with EXP Realty, and like Ramon said, if he has a great brand that you can build yourself down within, that's your opportunity, guys. A lot of people miss that. And I had that discussion with one of my team leaders this morning, where one of the agents was like, I don't know how I benefit with this and that and the other. I'm like, but you have to sell that to people. Like, look, if you can build your business within a brand, and then mind you, that brand or that company you're affiliated with pays you money to do that. There's not many companies out there in the world. I mean, Keller Williams has a model in place, Profit Share, which is similar. Obviously, EXP, there's a few others out there too. But if you're at a company where you don't get anything for helping the company grow, I mean, that's your benefit. If you have a badass brand that's locally or globally or internationally recognized, I mean, even locally, like, here in New Orleans, if you build a badass brand in New Orleans with 6,000 real estate agents, everybody knows and sees that brand as a company here locally in New Orleans called Rev'd, REVE. I mean, they have like a cult following right now, and their cap is crazy high. They got, great company. They did some amazing branding. But I'll tell you, people, they're attracting agents, but I don't know if they have any internal profit share or anything like that. But all you do is you build this badass brand, people will follow. And if you can continue to grow that brand with the people who thought of it, like Ramon said, I mean, he might have came up with the thought of it. He stepped out. He's letting everybody, all these people who thought they were lone wolves, now grow this sucker big, and we all grow together.
The other thing, Dustin, you mentioned was along the same lines. What Anthony just said was that feeling of building something on your own, right? Like you want that.
Yeah.
No, nothing will ever replace. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, it's that. Yeah.
I don't need nothing.
And as I've gotten longer and longer being in a leadership position, I feel like I get softer and softer, man, because not in a bad way, but I tell you what, nothing replaces the feeling. Nothing can compare to the feeling of watching somebody like, you know, my business partner now who's running our real estate sales organization, watching him as a part-time agent, first guy to ever work with me back in 2016, watching him go from, from part-time to full-time to not only selling, 100 units a year, but now leading the entire thing. Like, he was handing out awards, big old ice sculpture behind him. He's all suited up. And I'm like, man, and not only that, but knowing him personally, watching the home he lives in change, watching the school his daughter goes into change, watching the caliber of vacations they go on change, watching the investments they make outside of real estate change. When you actually see that journey with your own eyes, not just, you're going to be more financially free, but you actually watch real things happen in real life.
Yes.
Nothing replaces that feeling and seeing that and knowing that you were a part of that. You didn't do it for them, but knowing that you were a part of that, just one person even, that's what, to me, worth 10 times more than that, I did this on my own. You know what I mean? That right there is what I do it for.
That's very wise. That's very wise. I agree with you. I remember the coffee shop barista that couldn't pay her rent and learning how to sell homes, and then learning how to sell a lot of homes, and learning how to lead other people and build a team around her, and then getting to the point where she was making and then she got married to somebody in the business, and they had kids and a family and everything else, and their whole lifestyle just completely changed in the space of a couple short years, making $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, just rocking out this life, right? Just living and being just a part of that journey. I can relate to that. Like, that's what I work for. That's
it, man. That's it.
Like, we do. Like, once you've made the money, once you've made a bit of money and you can survive, and the reptilian brain's not going, oh my God, we're gonna die. You need money to be able to do that. But once you've done that, why you get out of bed? Why do you do what you do? Why do you go the extra mile? And for a lot of leaders, the ones that really build that vehicle, that culture, that space where we can all grow together and have a lot of fun doing it, get rich with your friends, build wealth with your friends. That's why we do this. This is exactly why we do this. Is that experience.
And the parties are so much funner when you have a group of people you built an empire with. Think about it. I mean, you throw that big party, you said the ice sculpture in the back. I mean, I told somebody that the other day. I said, imagine the parties we're going to throw in a year when this sucker is running at full steam.
Well, it's the life experiences and the parties. The parties, yeah.
In Tulum,
you got to throw some parties.
Yeah, in Tulum. Yeah. I like that.
Well, Ramon, I know we didn't talk about, man, but tell everybody about your business. I know, man, you put up some badass numbers over here, and man, it's amazing. 27 years old. I wasn't even in the business at 27. So, dude, it's like I think a lot of people assume that they, I'm too young, or maybe things like that. Tell somebody. I mean, give us your numbers, man. I know you've got some crazy ass stats you put on the table.
Yeah. So, 2016, got a license. Worked on my own for about maybe 6 months. I started a team right away. And 2017 opened up an independent brokerage, grew that company from 3 to 50, and then merged with EXP back in 2020. So I think we did right when we merged. The year we merged, we did 55 million. That's at an average sales price in Albuquerque. Now it's going up. It's awesome. I love this, but it was 225K. So it was a lot of units. And so now, once we merged with EXP, we've tripled our organization size in I don't know, August to today. What's that? 7 months. Locally, boots on the ground. Our team has about 70 agents that are here locally, and then everything else is scattered across the U.S. and then a little bit internationally. It's been a really fun ride talking about leverage. It took me a minute to come around to it, but I did. I work a lot with Tariq El Moussa on the expansion of the agency. And I was like, well, everyone knows me in New Mexico. I don't have to it's pretty easy to get noticed. And if I make a phone call, people answer, but nobody knows me or frankly cares outside of, my state. And so I wasn't that dumb to realize that, well, I could definitely leverage an international real estate celebrity and help reach places that I haven't reached before. So we work hand in hand with Tariq almost every day on growing that organization. And so that's been a ton of fun because it's put me into conversations, into rooms, into investments, into so many things that, looking back before going to EXP, I never thought would be,
Couldn't even get in. Right.
Yeah, I was like, well, and now it's just it's normal. It's normal business now. It's just normal,
it's how you and I connected via the closer group, the EXP group. Entry into that. It's like, it's funny. We knew before almost anybody that Grant Cardone was coming to EXP Realty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to have access to that room and that knowledge and grow, game time.
Yeah, man. And so I met Brian in 2017, actually.
Brian's a badass.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what happened was, man, from a local level, the guys who were talking to me, they just saw me as a good pony to bet on. They didn't really care about me or my business, man. So I actually shut down the idea of EXP for a couple of years. And then, 2020, I called Brian myself personally, said, "Hey, what's up? Remember me?" He goes, "I remember you." I was like, "All right, well, hey, I got some questions." And so, we ended up making it work after a couple of years, but I'm really glad I made that phone call. And it's just, you can't put a number, you can't really quantify the not only the scalability of the model that it puts you on, but just the sky's the limit feeling you have waking up every day. I feel like you lose that sometimes in real estate because it just seems so repetitive and mundane. And it's such a one-track mind. Like I call EXP, I call it the entrepreneur's brokerage. It's a white label. It's a white label software. You got to go put your own stuff on, right? And then go run. It's a track that's already laid. Yes, exactly. And it's international. It's like, okay, well, hey, this is pretty cool.
Go, man. Time to go. Oh man, we got to wrap up, dude. We got our Homes+City team meeting in a couple of minutes, too, man. Look, it's been awesome. We want to get you back on, man. I'll tell you, this is something we're growing with mega momentum. I'm super excited to be in business with you. We'll maybe get you to come back on in 6 months, a year to follow up to see where you're going, man. But how can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you?
Best on Instagram.
Ramon.Casaus. Gotcha. I'll go follow. I don't think we follow each other. I'll go follow you right now myself.
First name dot last name. Yep.
Nice. Good deal.
Right on.
All right, brother. It's been awesome. Thank you very much. All right, guys.
Dustin, Anthony, thank you. All right, man.
I'm with you, man. Have a great day. Go crush it.
You as well.
All right. Ciao for now.